Live on a Purple Friday. It's the 14th of November. Happy 29th birthday to Tori Trossett. Awesome time spending my mom's birthday, which was earlier this week, her 60th in Belize as a family. And I think we just kind of combined the whole thing too towards the end, knowing that Tori's is today. So love her very much. She'll get married coming up in June, which is crazy to think. Younger sister's the first to lock it down. And with that, we begin today's show, which is brought to you by our friends at Mantis Sleep. I'm Bobby Trossett. This is my co-host and partner, Sarah Ellison. We've got a lot to get to today, including a high-level conversation, Sarah, on the Ravens' magic number as the AFC North Gauntlet begins. 4 of the next 5 weeks. You forget, this is a team that's played just one in-division game so far through 10 weeks, 9 games, but 4 of the next 5 will be exactly that. In division games, and there's going to be a lot decided and learned over the next month or so. After that, we're going to get into Lamar Jackson's response to a potential incoming threat. We'll also talk about the overall Ravens injury report as of yesterday. We've got a lot of updates to get to in the next couple seconds or so, and we will preview the Week 11 rematch against the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore's obviously trying to sweep that regular season series, Sarah, having won in week 2 at home, 41-17. Now, before we even dive in, all the beat reporters are on the scene from one winning drive. So here's what we're learning. First of all, Jeff Zrebeck noting that Darius Washington, who tore his Achilles in a conditioning session back in May, can be seen right now as we speak working out on an adjacent field. Friday's practice. John Harbaugh has maintained, and I know Darius, I'm sure, is pushing for as quick of a return time as he possibly can throughout his rehab. But Harbaugh has said that he's got a chance to return at some point late this season, perhaps as early as December. So that's something to watch moving forward. He was a stabilizing force in the secondary on the back end with Kyle Hamilton last year. We'll see if he has a chance to make it back before the postseason. Now, players that are not at practice today, according to beat reporters. Rashad Bateman, high ankle sprain. Marlon Humphrey, finger was recently pinned. Ronnie Stanley, who notably took a rest day a week ago, Sarah, leading into the Vikings game. Jay Higgins, who we know is going to be out for a multi-week thing with a knee. But Mike Green is a new name that popped up yesterday, Sarah, with an ankle. He was limited. That may very well be in danger of being downgraded to out today. We'll wait until after 4 o'clock, but Jamison Hensley and others noting that he is not practicing today with what was described on yesterday's injury report as an ankle. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, on the flip side, of course, Lamar out there for the second day and Justice Hill returning. So kind of already felt like Rashad Bateman, obviously Marlon Humphrey, Jay Higgins weren't going to go. Bateman not going to go. Ronnie Stanley, it seems like he's been taking rest days on Friday, so that's fine. But yeah, to your point, Mike Green being a new guy that popped up on Thursday, limited, and now he's missing today. That's trending in the wrong direction. Not news that bodes well for his availability on Sunday. And I think it would be a big blow to the Ravens. They've already been having a hard time with pass rush against opposing quarterbacks. We played a couple days ago or yesterday. It's all winding together now. A breakdown of Mike Green against last week's opponents and the Minnesota Vikings. And he's been, who knew that he's been like the one that has kind of been holding it down in there. So that will be one to watch. The Ravens would, I'm sure, love to have Mike Green out on the field when they take on the Browns.
Hey, Draymond, how much of a familiarity and feel you have for this system? We're going to need a lot out of you. You know, it's a good thing that Denard Wilson was coaching him up. There's some stylistic similarities between what they were doing in Tennessee and, of course, what Zach Orr and company are doing in Baltimore. So, yeah, that'll be one to watch. And then Daniel Oyefusi, friend of the show, a former reporter in the Baltimore local market for the Sun, tweeting out just a couple minutes ago that Denzel Ward is not present at the viewing period, the media viewing portion of the Browns practice. That's notable. He is a all-pro type talent for them at the cornerback position, lockdown stud for them on the back end. So that'll be something to look out for. Aside from that, they're relatively healthy. I see that Alex Wright has a quad as well. He's not there for the Browns practice. So anyway, as we just take a look at the way this is shaping up from an availability perspective, that's the latest as we begin today's show.
Yeah, and so that kind of lets us move into things and look at things from 1,000 feet up. The Ravens are about to enter an absolute AFC North gauntlet, and it's like the schedule makers know now to do this towards the end of the season. So, Bobby, I thought it'd be interesting as we head into this Browns game to talk about what the magic number will be to win the AFC North. Right now, the Steelers are a game ahead of the Ravens, but a lot of the sports betting companies still have the Ravens as the best bet to win the North. And so what I'm thinking, it could be that you could win the division with 9 wins, but my guess it'll take 10. And I wanted to look at what it would take for the Ravens and the Steelers, and we'll throw the Bengals in a little bit, to get to that magic number of 10. Like I said, it could be 9, but you'd think that it would finish with 10. For the Ravens to win with 10, to win the division with 10 wins, they would need to finish 6-2. For Pittsburgh, they would have to finish 5-3. So as we look at their schedules here, the Ravens have the Browns, the Jets, and the Bengals to start. With the way these are all one-sided teams, these still feel like 3 very winnable games for the Ravens. So if they are looking to finish 6-2, that could be half of them right there. And then that's when you begin with the Steelers, and then you go back to the Bengals again. Okay, then the Ravens are going to have 2 tough games against New England and Green Bay, and then finish with Pittsburgh again. So if they can continue the streak and win the next 3 heading into the showdown with Pittsburgh, they would only need 3 more if the magic number is 10 over the last 6 games. But this is it. When you talk about an AFC North gauntlet, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 AFC North games in the next 5 weeks. And so these guys are going to be beating up on each other. But Bobby, how do you feel about the Ravens getting 6 wins to finish this thing out?
Yeah, it's possible. I want to more so focus on that 3-game stretch that you're referring to, because this is a cushion that not only can get them back to 500 and above 500 over the next couple of weeks, but this is a cushion that's going to provide somewhat of a margin for error down the latter half that you're referencing right here, where you have a backloaded schedule, not only of in-division competitive, they're going to be competitive games, you would think. Cold weather games. We'll get into the forecast, by the way, over 20-mile-an-hour winds in the forecast for Sunday in Cleveland. You know the lake effect, Sarah. You get that more than most in terms of where you're at geography-wise. So that's a factor. But knowing what we watched and have watched for 8 straight weeks, the Patriots are just mowing down competition, finding ways to win way ahead of schedule under year 1. With Mike Vrabel. They've won 8 straight games. And yeah, I get it that the Jets are the Jets, but they've beaten teams in a variety of different ways, and they are playing inspired football in New England. So the Ravens will host them later on, as you see here on the schedule. And of course, at Green Bay in the elements, a couple days after Christmas, Lambeau in December, you just never know. I think that this is a cushion over the next 3 weeks that they really need to give themselves going into the latter half.
Yeah, I feel really good about them winning 6. I feel really good. I feel really good about them picking up half over the next 3 weeks and then getting 3 more over a span of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. If they can pick up 3, all they have to do is go 500 to get 10 wins. Split with Pittsburgh. We might be going back to splitting with them. I don't feel like the Ravens have to split with Cincinnati, given how Lamar Jackson has played against them. He's only lost once to him. And then you could easily, I think they could beat either New England or Green Bay, if not more. I definitely think the Ravens can get 6. Okay. Here's the Steelers. They have to get 5. Okay. They got the Bengals coming up who beat them once. They've got the Bears who people are like, the Ravens just beat the Bears, but they are playing well. They've got the Bills, then the Ravens. Miami should be an easy win for them. Detroit, Cleveland, and then Baltimore again.
I don't know if I'd categorize Miami like that, though. And it's the team that just beat Buffalo the other day.
They're in division rivals, though.
You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying.
They are. And they certainly didn't look too competitive in the second half on Thursday night a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The crazy thing is if you pull up Miami's schedule, I don't know why randomly I did this the other day. Miami's got a stretch where somehow, some way, they can actually still sneak their way in to the playoff picture should they rattle off a few more wins in the coming weeks. And it's a favorable, I'm air quoting that, a favorable schedule for them coming up. So this is going to get really interesting in the AFC. Stop us if you've heard that before in recent weeks.
Well, what's funny is for Cincinnati, by the way, if we want to bring them into this, they would have, since Joe Burrow's coming back, everybody's like, will he be able to save them? They'd have to go 7-1. I don't believe that's going to happen, and I didn't even bring up their schedule to show that it would happen. But I'll tell you what, between the Steelers schedule and this Ravens schedule, I feel better about the Ravens getting 6 wins than I do about the Steelers getting 5 wins, and Cal Shee agrees with me. Cal Shee, as of this morning, has the Ravens with a 70% chance of winning the AFC North, Pittsburgh 28%, Cincinnati 7%, and Cleveland, who we're about to preview in just a second, at 1%. 70% chance for the Ravens to win. I again, it's not guaranteed, but 70 is good. And we've already talked about this. They're also one of the top 4 favorites, the Ravens are, to win the AFC outright at 14%. So magic number is 10. I think the Ravens will get there. Maybe more, but I think they can get to 10 with 6 wins. And I think they'll get there before the Steelers. And I think that's where we're headed. But they have to start with the Cleveland Browns this weekend. And I know that that's what we're going to preview next.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. Because this is a team that, you know, much like it's not all that different than week 2 in the sense that I just checked in with like the Cleveland media and been watching podcasts all day long.
Yeah.
They're already looking at draft stock and quarterbacks. And you name, like, you know how it goes this time of year and local media coverage when you're the Cleveland Browns. So they're struggling and struggling mightily. They are not moving the football effectively. They're 2-7. They're dead last in the AFC North. And Dylan Gabriel has been their starter, Sarah, since not directly right around that time, but we know that Joe Flacco was traded to Cincinnati. And now it's essentially this situation where this offense is going nowhere fast under Dylan Gabriel, which is far solely to blame on him. There's a lot to blame when you look around. But at some point here, if he doesn't emerge as the guy, as the answer for them, and they don't see enough, as we keep talking about, there's going to come a game where one opponent's going to end up seeing 2 quarterbacks, and the second being Shedeur Sanders. They got to get a look at him at some point, having drafted him in the 5th round back in April. So, you want to dive right into just kind of what Sunday is going to consist of, beginning with an easy ticket, a very economical ticket. Matter of fact, it's the cheapest NFL ticket all season long thus far on TickPick. You can get in, guys, for as low as $6. So if you're in the area, I don't know, maybe you want to go watch some football. But there you have it. Even in the lower bowl, some really, really fair prices, low prices. I mean, look at this, 51 behind one of the end zones. Come on, $51 for an NFL game. So maybe that's something to look at. This defense is championship-esque. They're the second-ranked group under Jim Schwartz, who is the defensive coordinator, Baltimore native. They're 10th against the run, Sarah. Under 100 yards per game is all they're allowing, 97.9 to be exact. They're second against the pass, 17th in scoring, 9th on 3rd down, 7th on 4th down, and 10th inside the 20, where the Ravens obviously have been struggling when it comes to their offensive attack and finishing drives. We haven't seen that enough. I thought Jim Schwartz kind of set the table here, their defensive play caller. I thought this snippet on explaining at this point in the season, 1 and 2, the familiarity between the 2 teams. I love this. A little snippet going into week 11, Ravens-Browns in the rematch from week 2.
50 rushing yards on your last meeting, Lamar to just 13. How much different is it going to be a challenge for you guys with them already having seen what you guys were able to do in the run-stopping ability of your defense?
Scheme-wise, there's really not a whole lot. It's more just attitude. I mean, I think they had a pretty good idea what we were going to do in the first game. I mean, you know, when you play division games like this, particularly coaching staffs that have, you know, that have been around for a few years and players that have been around for a few years, there's not a whole lot of secrets this time of year. You know, I mean, there's very little in this game that we're going to do that the Ravens are going to be like, oh wow, like where did that come from? Because if it was, we would have been doing it last game, the game before that. You know, like you already sort of know, they know us, we know them, and it's classic division games, and it comes down to, you know, to who plays physical, who does the techniques well, who plays with the best fundamentals, who plays with the best spirit. Who makes the fewest mistakes. It comes down to those things as opposed to, you know, a coach coming up with a magic scheme or, you know, something like that. That's what division football is all about. It's, you know, the weather's changed. You're into November. You have two physical teams. You know, that's what the AFC North's about.
All right. I love that. That was refreshing, right?
Watch him throw out something brand new. He's like, there's nothing new. I don't have anything new. And then he throws something like the kitchen sink at him. They're like, whoa, where did this come from?
Right? Maybe.
But generally speaking, he's absolutely right. He's like, if I knew how to stop, you know, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, you know, more than we have in the past, then I would have done it. I promise you that much.
That's the beauty of in-division football and some of this familiarity that exists now and has existed for years. But why don't we kind of walk ourselves back to week 2? It was the Ravens home opener. It was Ravens Browns, and Baltimore ended up getting the last laugh after a noisy week related to 30th anniversary celebrations and everything that we remember that unfolded back in September. 41-17 was the final. A few bullet points that I had here. Yes, this was a day that Cleveland successfully defended the run, Sarah. 45 total rushing yards was what they allowed to a Ravens team that we felt like, especially coming off the Buffalo game, we're going to come in and maybe not against the Cleveland defensive front, but okay, how about at least 100 yards? No, 45 total, including just 23 from Derek on 11 carries. That was 2.1 on average. So they successfully stopped them on the ground. They did not successfully stop them through the air. Lamar threw 4 touchdown passes. He was efficient, 19 for 29, 225 yards, a quarterback rating of 128.6. What else happened? Special teams, timely defense. Jake Hummel, his first signature play as a Raven. They brought him in as the Chris Board replacement this offseason. He blocked a punt. Nate Wiggins intercepted Joe Flacco. Tavius Robinson strip sacked Joe Flacco. So they created 2 turnovers. And we all remember what happened after that strip sack too. Agent Zero took it to the house, and he was rather winded after. But Roquan had his AFC Defensive Player of the Week kind of game. We all remember that. And again, Lamar was exceptional through the air. So just to kind of catch you up to speed on like what went down there. Now, some other reminders: Keaton Mitchell was not active for that game. Pat Ricard didn't play, missed the first month plus. Nnamdi Madubuike did play. As I mentioned, the Ravens turned Joe Flacco over twice, something that they're going to have to do, I think, in order to win this game, which I think they will, because I think Dylan Gabriel, Sarah, they are susceptible. Dylan is susceptible to a defense that disrupts, and I think they're capable of turning him over. He's got the 3rd highest turnover-worthy play rate league-wide among quarterbacks. They're going to try and run the ball on the Ravens. Quinshon Judkins made his NFL debut as a rookie week 2, and he got some opportunities. He ran it for over 6 yards per carry on the Ravens, 10 carries, 61 yards. You go and look at what they've done with him on the ground since so far this year. He's really their only rushing threat. He leads the way. The next closest rusher, Sarah, is Dylan Gabriel on this team. So I expect the Ravens to do whatever they can, whether that's stacking the box or selling out to stop the run and forcing Dylan Gabriel to beat them. And we know that John Harbaugh typically, historically, dominates young quarterbacks, in this case, rookie quarterbacks. I think that's going to continue, and it starts with knocking Dylan Gabriel off his spot, creating a level of discomfort early, disrupting his sight line, much like they did successfully with J.J. McCarthy on Sunday in Minnesota. some early thoughts there. Feel free to dive in.
Yeah, I feel like this could be the Ravens could be the team that makes the Browns no longer start Dylan Gabriel. I know that Browns owner Jimmy Haslam wants to see Shedeur Sanders. Now, it's going to be more of a challenge. Obviously, the Ravens already don't have a massive pass rush. It'll be more of a challenge if Mike Green cannot go. We will see. But this is a chance. We've talked about manufacturing pressure in the past, but part of that manufacturing is out of confusion. I think the Ravens can confuse Dylan Gabriel, especially with the chess piece, the queen chess piece that is Kyle Hamilton. Moving around your new piece of Draymond Jones inside and outside. If, again, Mike Green can't go, we'll probably see Carl Lawson, even though they're two completely different players. But we'll probably see Carl Lawson, who's familiar with the AFC North. I think that the Ravens have a chance, and they're going to be light on the back end too, so we can't get too cocky here because Marlon Humphrey's out with – he just got his finger pinned. But I suspect that the Ravens will use – Wiggins and Awuzie on the outside and maybe bring in Martin on the inside. They could also use TJ Tampa a little bit. So they're going to be down a couple guys. But like I said, like this was the week for Marlon Humphrey to get that pinned finger because it is Dylan Gabriel. So I think if the Ravens play mistake-free on defense, don't give them anything where you have an offsides, you have a late hit or anything like that. You don't need to do that. Just put out Zach Orr a confusing look with Kyle Hamilton and company. And I think that Dylan Gabriel's, head might be spinning to the point where, the Browns Jimmy Haslam might come say, you know what? We saw a look at Dylan. Let's move on to Shedeur. Ravens are the ones that, was the straw that broke the camel's back there.
Sir, Kevin Stefanski handed over play calling duties to Tommy Rees. So he is now Cleveland's OC, and he spoke glowingly of what he's seen on tape from this Ravens defense in recent weeks.
Yet the last 4 games, nobody scored over 19
Yeah.
points. Have they changed their defense philosophy somehow and are playing good despite no pass rush?
I mean, they're playing really well as a whole. They create pressure, in unique ways. Obviously they made the trade 4 weeks ago. That brought 14 down closer to the ball. I think that's a big change for them. A couple of years back, they were playing predominantly in that set. Changed it up midway through the year last year. They have a good group of players that play complementary on one another. And like I said, they have versatility to them. They're playing a really good brand of football right now. Whether they're generating pressure or not, they're limiting points. They're creating turnovers. They're limiting points. They're getting key stops when they need it. So they're really playing at a high level. I have a lot of respect for the staff and how they put together their defense and the way they challenge an offense.
Couple things he mentioned there. One, defensive scoring, right, which has been down now for 4 consecutive games, going back to really pre-bye week when, they were only able to put up 3 total points with Cooper Rush against the Rams. And I think Tyler played in that game too, right, in the second half. But they held a team that I think has a darn good chance of coming out of the NFC this year to just 17 total points. And I get it. You need context required for every single one of these. Like Devontae Adams had uncharacteristic drops, end zone drops. There were issues that the Rams had there, but 17 points is 17 points. They hold Chicago to 16. Well, you and I are old enough to remember the Bears then putting up 47 on Cincinnati. Like they can score with anybody. You hold Miami to 6 total points. They just beat Buffalo the other day, and now you're coming off a win in Minnesota in a hostile environment, holding that group to 19 total points. So there was that aspect of it, but he also mentioned 14, Kyle Hamilton. And PFF, I feel like, is always on top of this. They love tracking Kyle's alignment. Like, this is fascinating. Who doesn't? Who doesn't enjoy watching the unicorn do what he does? And so the PFF grade is one thing, but take a look at just how undeniable Kyle is since week 6. 2.5% of his snaps, Sarah, over this stretch where they've moved him up and essentially become a third linebacker for this team, have come at free safety. He is primarily in the box, in the slot, lining up as a corner, lining up as a defensive lineman 97.5% of the time since that change was made going back to week 6 against the Rams. So it's getting Tommy Reese's attention. It's getting most offenses' attention when 14's out there doing what he does.
He commands everybody's attention as he should. But you never know where he's going to be. You never know whether he's coming or going. And how many batted down passes did he have at the line of scrimmage? Like, I want to see those again. Or how about you don't just bat it down, you bat it up and then catch it and then run it into the end zone like you did. Which Browns game was that a few years ago, I think? Something feels like it's been a couple years removed now. So they for sure will be looking for him everywhere. Remember that Tom Brady on his wristband, he had fine number 20 on every play.
Oh yeah.
Let's watch if Dylan Gabriel has that. Fine number 14 on every single play.
Yeah. By the way, Kyle and Travis of those 13 were the only 2 players that had multiple pass deflections of that historic 13 pass deflection performance that Zach Orr's defense put on Sunday in Minnesota. Now, speaking of this upcoming Sunday, Sarah, this is, as you know, being that you are based in Columbus, has the potential in Cleveland with the lake effect this time of year to get a little hairy weather-wise. Right now, a couple days out from the 16th, it's a 4:25 kickoff, so it'll either be dark or dusk by the time kickoff rolls around. It's a 46-degree high, 39 as a low. They're calling for this weather. AccuWeather.com is calling for a stray shower in the morning, which isn't going to be a problem. What could become a factor, I don't want to go as far as to call it a problem, but what's a factor is over 20-mile-an-hour winds that are in the forecast.
Yeah.
That's a factor on special teams. That's a factor throwing the football. And you have to throw the football essentially against Cleveland, especially when you have issues up front the way the Ravens offensive line does, particularly with their poor guard play at moving bodies, running between the tackles, so on and so forth. So I was going to say ball security, but the Ravens have cleaned that up in recent weeks. That was sort of – now, Derrick Henry did fumble the football. It was recovered in week 2 against these Browns, and we know that was a problem early on. Credit to him. He's shored that up, and this offense has shored it up. Now, they've had some drops issues. We saw that early on in the first quarter in Minnesota. But I do think that the weather is going to be a factor for both teams when you consider the fact that that's pretty blustery conditions to be playing football in.
Yeah, no, weather is always something to consider in Cleveland. They both have to play in it. But to your point, the Ravens have become much more clean ever since those fumbling issues. They were able to turn a corner on those. Spencer Schultz reminded us yesterday on Twitter that the Ravens currently have the 5th fewest penalties in the NFL this season. The 5th fewest. It's got to be, just coming from last season where it just felt like the pre-snap penalties were just like time and time again, we're putting the Ravens offense behind the sticks. And this year that hasn't happened. And it's interesting because during training camp, that's all we heard about it nonstop are these pre-snap penalties. Then they went to Todd Monking, asking him questions at the podium. Like, do you think it's time to abandon that? He's like, no, this is the time that we need to have these issues. We will fight through it so that we don't have to deal with it during the regular season. And that has come to fruition. I bring that up while you're talking about weather and all that other kind of stuff is because it's weather can make you play uncharacteristically. Weather can make a more talented team let a less talented team in the picture longer than they should be. And so, but I like that they've been playing more mistake-free football, both in penalties and in turnovers since they've turned the corner. And then also with the weather, I just thought this was funny. Yesterday when Lamar Jackson came out to practice, he came out right next to Tyler Huntley. Well, these guys are both Florida boys, right? They're both Florida boys. And we want to know, hey, you guys have been out of Florida for a while, Lamar especially. And look at Lamar come out. He looks like he's ready for the cold. Snoop Huntley looks like he's like hiding from it with his hands in his pockets. He's got on the long sweatpants, this and that. Lamar, he's like, nah, I got this. I'm used to Baltimore weather. I'm used to AFC North weather by now. He comes out there jogging, looking good. Doesn't look like he's favoring too much of the knee soreness and whatnot. So Lamar, listen, he's been in Baltimore for 8 years now. He's played up in Cleveland once a year, every year that he's been healthy. He's come back after his IV game. Other people call it a different type of game, his bathroom game. He knows what it's like. And the Ravens can play mistake-free football. The only way, in my estimation, that the Browns will get into this is if the Ravens shoot themselves in the foot. But they've been too clean recently to make me believe that that would happen.
Well, it's a great welcome sight because the season did not begin that way, nor did it end that way last year, as you've already alluded to. Now, a piece to the puzzle that was not involved, as I mentioned earlier on, the first time these two teams played, is Keaton Mitchell. That got Grant Delpit's attention. He's a safety that was talking his talk leading into week 2. And guess what? He walked that walk in the game. This was a dude that was talking very confidently when it comes to strategizing and stopping Derrick Henry. And what did they do? Browns defense stopped Derrick Henry and the Ravens rushing attack. Baltimore got the last laugh, obviously, with the win. Now that Keaton Mitchell will, I would assume, be active and a component to the Ravens' offensive strategy, Grant Delpit, Brown safety, was asked about him.
It seems like they're using Keaton Mitchell a little bit more as kind of like a different style back after last year and doing some unique things with him. Just what type of challenges does he present? Obviously different than Derrick Henry in that way as a weapon for them.
No, he got elite speed, I think. Obviously completely different back than, Henry. They complement each other, so he housed the draw against us, I think, 2 years ago or last year. So we're familiar with him, and we're going to be prepared for it.
I guess that's what happens when you're 2-7, Sarah. You're not going to do the exact same thing you did media coverage-wise or getting everybody fired up the way you did when the season was wide open, right? And you're feeling optimistic about, week 2 and blah, 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 the way they might have been a couple months ago. But yes, Keaton obviously will be, hopefully, someone that the Ravens can lean on and mix things up against this Cleveland defense that is so stout up front. And Sarah, they have a playmaker and star talent at every single level. Of course, Myles Garrett needs no introduction. 11 sacks, leads the league. They got a rookie in level 2 at the linebacker position who's their team leading tackler by the name of Carson Swessinger. I believe the Ravens had him in on a top 30 at one point in the offseason. He's got 74 total tackles. You look at some of the sports books, he is your favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, but he's dealing with a high ankle sprain in recent. So perhaps that's an area, the middle part of the field. The Ravens want to use their tight ends as they have and always have. Cleveland defends the tight ends very, very well from a defensive standpoint, but perhaps that's an area that they can try to attack. And then Denzel Ward, who I mentioned at the top, Daniel Oyefusi said that he was not at Friday's practice, so that'll be something to watch going into the weekend. But if he can go, this dude's still playing at a really high level. He's a veteran. He's a 4-time All-Pro. And so you've got that type of star talent at every single level, but just not a whole lot to show for it for a 2-7 team. So that's where things stand. 4:25 kickoff on Sunday. I'm ready for my prediction if you are.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say on the Keaton Mitchell front, John Harbaugh already said on Monday, Keaton will be playing more. Justice Hill has a toe. He hasn't been practicing, although he did return today, right? That was one of the early reports. Correct. Okay, so you got Justice Hill potentially on his way back, but still he's dealing with that toe. Todd Monken said that he thinks Keaton Mitchell, he said he deserves more of an opportunity. I think we're going to see more of Keaton Mitchell. I would like to see the Ravens help Lamar Jackson out and help these guards out by using a plethora of different looks and runs between Keaton and Henry and maybe even Lamar himself. I want to see a heavy dose of play action, some bootleg, all of that. Because to me, yes, I'm about to predict that the Browns will win this game, but I do not want the Ravens to win the game. But thank you. But I don't want to see Lamar Jackson on the injury report again. That is the bigger goal. We cannot have him on the injury report. So I really hope the Ravens have come up with some good stuff with Keaton Mitchell coming in to just make the linebackers and that defensive line just hesitate for a second to leave Lamar and this running game a little bit more time. So yes, when it comes to predictions, I have to read this. This is funny. So last time we previewed this game, we had on Zach Jackson of The Athletic, and I was reading his prediction. He was hilarious this morning. He said, the Browns have no chance, is what he said. Their defense can make it a fight, and the offense actually showed some small signs of improvement last week after making a play caller change. But last week's opponent was the Jets, and this week it just won't happen. The Browns defend Jackson well, but he always makes a couple plays to remind them who's in charge. And I agree. I think the Ravens, I think Lamar Jackson, I think Derrick Henry, I think Kyle Hamilton are in charge. And I think they're going to put Dylan Gabriel in a blender. And I think they're going to do what they need to do to help out the offense. I see a couple turnovers created by the defense. They've been on a little bit of a streak. I do think it'll be kind of hard to move the ball here and there with that defense. I mean, it really is a fantastic defense that knows Lamar Jackson and the Ravens well. So in the end, though, the Ravens will win it 24-10.
Okay, I got 24-16 Ravens.
Okay.
For those of you that have been waiting for my losses predictions, they're upcoming, but not in the next couple weeks, though. I think they're going to give themselves that cushion that they so desperately need going into the latter half that's not only filled with Cincinnati twice in 3 weeks, but teams like New England and Green Bay who have, yes, had their fair, in Green Bay's case, had their fair share of inconsistencies this year. New England's just setting the world on fire. And then Pittsburgh, of course, twice on the latter half. So it'll start to get interesting, and I'll get there when I get there. But 24-16, Ravens continue their dominance against rookie quarterbacks, youthful quarterbacks, in a game that is going to be cold. It's going to be blustery. They got to find a way. I think it's going to be close throughout, though, and deep into the game, as I kind of alluded to earlier on this week. So 24-16 is what I'm going with.
Got it. And I just want to say one more thing. This is not a trap game. The Ravens are in no position to be in trap games. Trap games are when you're a winning record team and you are overlooking people. The Ravens can't afford it. This is not a trap game. They have lost, 3 times straight in Cleveland? They're aware.
3 of 4.
3 of 4. 3 of 4 in Cleveland. They're aware of all this. They're aware that they're still a below 500 team. They're aware of the run that they're in the middle of trying to make. So I don't see this as a trap game. This is me projecting my confidence. I think the Ravens are confident, but I don't think they're overlooking the Browns.
That brings us to Manta Sleep, this episode's sponsor. We appreciate them for their continued support. Code VAULT10, that's VAULT10, as you see in the live chat and also in the show notes, gets you 10% off your next purchase. And at checkout, you'll see holiday season's right around the corner. And I was just kind of toggling through, Sarah, because I was like, I got to start to figure out what the heck I'm sending around to people, because I'm going to be flying home for Christmas this year for the first time basically ever. And so I'm going to need to ship things home for different members of the fam. And I kind of stumbled on the bundles section.
There we go.
MantaSleep.com.
Hopefully they're not watching the show, because now they're going to know what you're going to gift them for Christmas.
Well, good news is, unless we're all together in Belize, they don't typically watch us.
Okay.
It's kind of insulting, but what are you going to do? Under the bundle section, there's a brand new tab. And so I don't know. I was wondering what this one is featuring. And as you see, 3 different parts. The Manta Sound Sleep Mask, which is the new gen. You've got Manta Cool Eye Cups, freezable eye cups to soothe the eyes and sinuses. And then I didn't even know this existed. This must be a new drop. Manta Aroma Dots, the instant aromatherapy add-on for any Manta mask. So as you see here, and you can toggle through all of these different details to get more like technology details and information on what goes into these masks, how they're built, so on and so forth. But maybe the brand new sleep bundle, deep sleep bundle, new gen, plus the sound mask bundle is something that VAULTRONs will consider gifting their significant others or family members, siblings, you name it, coming up for Christmas and the holiday season. So one of the many things that you can go check out here at mantasleep.com. And again, that discount code VAULT10, VAULT10 will get you 10% off your next purchase.
I was about to say, as they make those purchases for Christmas, they have that Vault discount code to bring the price down a bit there. So,
Yep.
I don't know. There's just so many different things, like the white noise machine, the silk pillow, earplugs, all of it. There's just so many different things. And I'm sure everybody has somebody in their life that has a small problem with sleeping. So it's a great Christmas gift for sure.
The earplugs are designed for all night comfort and quiet sleep. And you see it, they fit right in here.
There you go.
I mean, take your pick. You guys know by now. longest standing partner. We love him. We believe in him. We use them. Our family uses these masks, and we appreciate them for their continued support. So thank you, Manta. Okay, over 1,700 concurrents on this Purple Friday. Dre Dog hit us well earlier on, and he says 4 safety sets, Gilman and K-Ham in the middle, Darius Washington and Starks up top. No, AW.
Yeah, Darius Washington. He said I think this came in. We were talking about a sighting of Darius Washington.
Yeah. So when if he's available at some point, I think Dre Dog is envisioning future personnel alignments. And then also, you've mentioned this, and we've both mentioned it. Carl Lawson, better be playing if Mike Green is out.
Well, who else would you turn to? Dre Dog's right on. I don't know who else they would turn to.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Sean Young, welcome to channel membership. Appreciate you. And Mike, happy Aloha Friday, Flock Nation. Praying everyone has a blessed day today. Jesus loves you all. And I believe this is our Hawaiian, right, Mike? You're originally from Hawaii, or you live in Hawaii at the moment. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the blessing.
Hey, while he's giving out messages from Jesus, I'll just put this quick hit out there. Keaton Mitchell, who we just finished talking about, put on Instagram yesterday, who's obviously had a complete turnaround. Just think about where he was his rookie year.
Yeah.
And that injury, barely sniffing the field last year after, rehabbing, kind of trying to get back late. Then did not quite having the opportunity, despite clearly having the wills way back in training camp. He writes, it's okay if you hit rock bottom because that rock that's at the bottom is Jesus Christ. He says, powerful message tonight. That man never lost the faith. We had him on the show. He never lost the faith, ever.
Still waiting for that movie, baby. Come on.
Come
on, Keaton. Show us the movie. Premiere that movie. That's what he's told us in April. It's going to be a movie this year.
Right.
Well, you need opportunities.
My popcorn is ready.
I was going to say, you need opportunities to go movie making, and hopefully 34 has got plenty more in the tank. Over 1,700 concurrents on this Purple Friday. We appreciate you guys for being with us all week long. Thank you, as always, for spending part of your days with us. If you could on the way in or out, like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. You guys know the drill. Okay, week 11 has arrived, Sarah. And for Lamar and company, that means a road trip, as you guys know, to Cleveland, where, as we've mentioned, the Browns under Kevin Stefanski have actually won 3 of the last 4 games. So it's happened before. The Ravens are trying to prevent that from happening again. The passer rating leaders when pressured this season is a metric that's controlled and led by Lamar at 109.5. The league average, 70.1 so far in 2025. He has been fantastic. And part of what he talked about yesterday, Sarah, not long after popping up on this week's injury report with not a hamstring, but a knee, is what he can expect moving forward now that it's out there that he's dealing with a knee. If they do indeed blitz, I'm not just talking about Cleveland, other teams as well, if they get to him and they make it a concerted effort to test where he's at mobility-wise, here is part of yesterday's press conference, Lamar at the podium.
And we need more points. Our defense is playing great. Special teams playing great. I feel like we have great moments, but just being consistent, that's what we're chasing right now.
It's maybe nice to have a game where you didn't have to put the team on your shoulders at all. And just, defense, especially, everyone was playing. It was really complimentary football like that to not have to feel that weight.
I believe, everybody just play their part, each and every game, because I always say this, I'm not the one blocking, I'm not the one catching the ball. I'm not the only one running the ball either, Everybody always play a part, no matter what.
Hey, Lamar, when the play with Mark Andrews, the look of the tush pushing and toss sweep to you, what's your reaction first bringing that up the practice field? We're going to run that the first time.
I was cool with it. We did something similar like that in the past. I think we did something like that against Cleveland before. I think that was with Giro offense, though. Yeah, we did something similar. So I really didn't have a thought with it. I'm playing football.
Lamar, is there something specific that you think is holding you guys back from finishing more drives in the end zone?
I can't call it. Can't call it. I believe we're driving the ball down the field a good amount, sometimes, but we got to punch in that ticket. And because the Dolphins game we did, we got in the red zone, we scored like 3 times. 4 times, whichever one it was. But it was a good game. You know, it was in Minnesota. You know, great crowd, great defense. It was just an NFL game.
What's it like to go against the defense when you have a Myles Garrett on the other side?
Try to get as much hands and objects on him as possible. You know, a guy like leading the league in sacks right now, I believe. You know, so get as much guys to block him as possible, if anything. Yeah.
Lamar, some of your design rush numbers have gone down from last year to this year. Do you like being able to just use your arm a little bit more and not feel like you have to make plays with your legs as much?
You know, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. You know, I don't really pay attention to the numbers of rushes. You know, we got Derrick Henry, Keaton Mitchell, Justice, Rashawn Ali. You know, we got all these guys to run the ball, and sometimes you know, so I don't really be worried about it, you know, as long as we win it.
Does the blitz you more when they see you show up on the injury report? I mean, is that a consideration of yours?
That's cool with me. I mean, I'm cool with it. We're going to see. We're going to see.
And, of course, Sarah, the best for last there at the end. Jonas Schaefer asked him, hey, are you expecting to be blitzed more now that you've shown up on the injury report? And you heard him. I'm cool with it. I guess we'll see. And guess what? Yeah, I guess we will see because he's had a lot of success, Sarah.
Because we've already seen.
Yeah. He's got one of the highest passer ratings. We already mentioned when pressured, he's got the highest passer rating so far through 10 weeks. He's got one of the highest passer ratings when blitzed this season at 124.6, joining the likes of some quarterbacks that are also playing at really high levels. Jalen Hurts, Drake May, Jared Goff, and Matthew Stafford all above him by either percentage points or, in Jalen's case, several of them at 131.5, which leads the league against the blitz. So a number of different things there, one of the longer snippets, but just to kind of get a sense for what he was sharing yesterday, very business-like, right? Short in some cases, maybe a little bit disinterested to be there, or more like, hey, I have other priorities that I need to get to. And then speaking of interest, though, Morgan Adsit, Fox 45, caught some footage of just the way he was moving around yesterday at practice, Sarah, knowing that again, the knee was at least, I don't know if serious is the right word, but significant enough for him to miss Wednesday's practice. There he is, chest bumping his center, Tyler Linderbaum, in pretty good spirits from what it appears.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you mentioned that he was like business-like and short. He's very monotone. By the way, I'm definitely stealing from him. I can't call it.
It's one of his favorites. He uses that all the time.
Yeah, it's basically when he doesn't want to answer a question. I'm sure he has an idea of how he thinks they could score in the red zone and punch it in, but he's not going to call it out. He's not going to tell that they're going to do different, or he's not going to call out whatever, a play call or an offensive lineman, or or unless it's himself, he's typically not going to call it out. So I can't call it. Call it. But he's so monotone and business-like throughout, which is why like the ending was even so much better, because it was the first time he perked up, the first time that he laughs. That's cool with me. We will see. Bring the blitz. We saw last week. He's getting the ball out faster. He's calling audibles at the line of scrimmage. Like, it was like the league still thinks that we're stuck in 2021 when he was playing Miami with Greg Roman. Keep doing it. Look at that perfect picture that you picked out for that. Look at that, where he's basically laughing and taunting. It's cool with me. I'm sorry, but like we have here, 109.5 when he's pressured. What's the other one? Highest passer rating versus the blitz this season. He's 5th at 124.6. Listen, here's the thing. Blitz if you want to. He'll put up his 124.6 passer rating. Blitz if you don't want to. He'll probably even play a little bit better. That's what happens when you play against good quarterbacks. That's what happens when you play against a 2-time MVP. There's no magic bullet. You can't stop him. You only hope to contain him. And I liked what he said about Myles Garrett, because Myles Garrett is a guy that will challenge him. Myles Garrett is a guy that can blow up a guard and make him get hurt. That's why I want some creativity with this running game and play action and all that kind of stuff. Set it up. But he said, put hands on Myles, put objects on Myles. But if you want to blitz me, that's cool with me. It's laughable at this point. This is not 2021.
Ronnie really struggled in week 2, and he had some pretty good performances against Myles Garrett over the years. I can remember sharing some research that I had done in that category leading into the home opener, and that was not the case. A lot of people feel that way going up against Miles this year. To your point, that 11 sack number does lead the league. Lamar is well aware of what that challenge presents. So, and hey, you know what's crazy is Cleveland, maybe more so than anyone, has successfully contained Lamar on the ground over the years. What they weren't able to do, obviously, through a 4-quarter sample size, as we've already mentioned, is contain his arm. And so, given some of the conditions that we've already talked about with the forecast, given what Cleveland's defensive front does really, really well, I think this is another game that you win through the air. And Lamar's obviously more than capable of doing exactly that.
Yes, he is, especially as we've seen here when he has offensive line woes. I just took myself off the screen. Despite some of the poorest coverage, he has one of, if not the highest QBR in the league. He makes other people look good. That is for sure. He makes that offensive line look real good. So, but we were going to go over injuries, but I think we've already gone through all of them. No?
Yeah,
We were going to,
we're pretty good. Yep.
What does Eric Hill have to say here?
Yeah, what's up, EH? He says, in case no one tells you today they love you, just know that I do. Have a great weekend, everyone. Be blessed and safe. Hashtag go Ravens. Hashtag stop the 22. Hashtag the Vault fam. Thank you, Eric. Hope you're having a great Friday. And Dre Dog was loving earlier on both Keaton's message and everything that we discussed from a faith-based perspective just a few minutes ago. So thanks for being here, Dre. And thanks to everybody for spending part of your Fridays with us. Let's get to some quick hits.
The Lord is our rock. And you know what else is a rock? The draft for the Ravens. Because as much as we've been criticizing Eric DaCosta, rightfully so in my view, for not having better guard competition heading into this and not replacing Michael Pierce, but what he has done well is use those first-round draft picks in the secondary. Football analyst for, I got to look him up. I'm so sorry. I forget what outlet he works for. But he put up this picture of 3 first-round Ravens. Wiggins, Hamilton, Starks. And he writes, this is the definition of good draft of draft good football players in one picture. These 3 will be a problem for a long time, he says. And sometimes you always want to look at what you don't have. Sometimes you want to look at the mistakes that there are. And of course you need to, because then that's how you can fix things. But sometimes you have to appreciate what you do have. And that is a beautiful picture. Wiggins, Hamilton, Starks, all in the back end, all drafted within the last couple years, and all playing at a high level. Starks specifically more recently. Now, Wiggins and Starks can still get a lot better too. Kyle Hamilton is playing at that all-pro level. Wiggins and Starks still have a much higher ceiling to reach.
His name is Garrett Greenlee.
Garrett Greenlee.
Football analysis on YouTube. Looks like he's got some Minnesota Vikings coverage that he provides as well. And he's a Marylander, or at least he's living in Maryland.
Well, but covering another team, sometimes you can see the treasures that other teams have because you don't have it.
There you go.
So there you go.
It's important to remind, like, it's just, I don't know. It's got folks are ready to write off Malachi after, a month or so, and knowing that, or perhaps overlooking the idea of the wrench that was thrown into their plans when Ardarius Washington went down, which we have a slide on in just a second here, because it kind of goes right in line with what Jeff noted at the top of the show, that Ardarius, as of right now, today, this afternoon, was running on an adjacent field. And that matches up with what Gianna noted earlier.
Yeah. Listen, you can never have enough. And who knows if Marlon's out? I mean, Washington can play the slot too. He can, there's all sorts of things you could play with here. All sorts of things. I don't know how he'll be when he gets back, but it sounds like it's November. It's November 14th. He's got time. So this was a sighting from yesterday. It's obviously even better news today that he was on the field. I already went over this right here in terms of like mistake-free football, but this is interesting. Patrick Queen is still talking about his transition from the Ravens over to the Steelers. Just last week, he was on a podcast and he went into a little bit more details of why he ultimately went to the Steelers.
Last year, when I was in Baltimore, I was like, we just played y'all, we lost. Somebody walking by, scout-wise, I was like, I didn't know who it was at the time. They were like, "Hey, free agency, we're gonna come holler at you. Like, make sure you come to us." Then Pittsburgh calling, steady calling. And I'm like, I really wasn't paying no mind at first. Like, I was just like, okay, it's Pittsburgh, cool. And then they kept calling. I'm like, you know what? I know them. I get to play Baltimore twice. Why not? You know, I think everything happens for a reason. I think I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, it fits me. I love the black and yellow.
Okay. So apparently he was heavily pursued and they kept calling. At first, maybe he didn't seem like he wanted to. It was funny. A fan on Twitter replied to this post because Ravens Realm posted that video. And he kept saying, like, I'm where I'm supposed to be, which I'm happy for Patrick Queen. I'm glad he feels at home over there. But another person replied to that and said, yeah, you're where you're supposed to be. And then showed a picture of the last game between these two where the Ravens won 14-28. And Patrick Queen was behind Derrick Henry and just watching him run into the end zone. And there wasn't a dang thing he could do about it. Not a dang thing he could do about it. So I'm glad he's enjoying Pittsburgh. And I hope everybody in Baltimore is glad when we beat him and the Steelers.
What do you got on the two Joes?
Oh, just trying to get just looking at the reaction of Joe Flacco with Joe Burrow coming back. Joe Flacco is always the consummate pro. He's still got a couple more games to play before that Thanksgiving-ish timeline that Burrow has put out through Jay Glazer. Joe said it's great to have Joe Burrow back out there. He says, quote, we're just two quarterbacks sitting in a room. It's not like we're doing anything groundbreaking in there. On the buzz of Burrow's possible return, Joe Flacco says, I'm honestly not thinking about it. I'm just worried about my job. I can only imagine how dry that quarterback's room is between these two guys. What do they talk about?
I'm glad you brought that in. That is fantastic stuff right there. And a media guy's or gal's nightmare, right? They just want something to write about. Yeah. There's not much you can do with that. New England is surging, as I mentioned earlier on, Sarah, under Mike Vrabel, year 1, 8 straight wins. Drake May is playing like an MVP candidate for the Patriots. He tossed a touchdown last night, gave it to their running back, Travion Henderson, for 2 touchdowns. And by the way, he scored one through the air as well as a receiver. So a 3-touchdown night for their running back. A clean game for Drake May and company. Stephon Diggs had 100-plus yards of receiving on 11 total targets. He has resurrected his career. And the New England Patriots are 9-2 right now. Woo. Lead the way if the postseason began today as one of the top seeds and would take the AFC East, which is really interesting, knowing that would make Buffalo a wild card team. So
Drake May is leading the league in passing yards with 2,836.
Man, good for him. They got a likable operation up there from looking out from afar. Mike Vrabel, man. What was
you
Tennessee
love Mike
thinking?
Vrabel?
What the heck was Tennessee thinking? Seriously, I mean, what a joke!
Yeah,
what a total joke. This dude, I mean, he's just a player's coach. He played the game at a high level, knows how to command a program. I mean, he's just one of the more likable guys out there. And New England's way ahead of schedule. Now, are they benefiting in some cases from a soft schedule, knowing that this is a 4th place schedule because they, again, finished 4th in the division last year? Yes, but 8-game win streak is 8-game win streak. So, yeah, Evan, he's a coach of the year candidate right now, and New England is going to come to Baltimore. They're coming to Baltimore later on in December.
How could he not be? The Patriots have had little to no success since Tom Brady left. Notice I didn't say since Bill Belichick left.
Yeah.
And so it's being turned around. Of course, he's a candidate. I look forward to this game. Drake May is also tied for 2nd in the league with 20 touchdown passes. So he is balling out. I look forward to this, but it's one game at a time. One game at a time. What did we say? What week? Let me look this up again. Ravens have them week 16, 12-21.
Yeah.
Leading into Christmas.
Can be a great game.
Let's go.
Should New England keep it up? Great game. So, yeah, that's our final quick hit there. We've got a super chat from Richard on that note. He says the Pats are real. They made the Bills look silly.
Mm.
And that was a huge game. I mean, think about that from a tie-breaking standpoint and the divisional clamp. That's a huge, huge game for New England in terms of seeding and divisional implications. Eric is gifted a channel membership on this Friday.
Oh.
And Sherry wants to know, who you picking? If you had to choose one, Isaiah Likely or Tyler Linderbaum?
I'm keeping Lindy. I think
you
and
have
this is why, because I want to protect Lamar, and I do love Likely. I love him a lot. But I think the Ravens are really good at drafting tight ends. I think you can find tight ends. It's harder to find offensive linemen. So I would keep Lindy.
Well, not to mention that, let's say that we had to choose between, like let's say it was an actual reality that Sherry's throwing out here. Then you could still extend both or one of the two that you already have on the roster right now that are also in expiring contracts in Mark and Charlie. And I think Charlie's been totally untapped in terms of what you go back to look at the crazy thing about Charlie, Sarah, is because he was drafted in Baltimore, you forget what were some of his greatest strengths coming out of Iowa State. Charlie was a pass-catching, dynamic tight end.
Mm-hmm.
And you can talk about his athleticism as it stacks up against Isaiah all you want. Charlie is a do-it-all tight end who has been untapped in Baltimore when you think about what his full potential is. And if they don't want him, somebody else is gonna.
It'll be very interesting with these tight ends, what's going to happen. Because, Isaiah Likely wanted to make sure as all players should, he wanted to make sure he was maximizing his value before he signed. It sounds reportedly like the Ravens offered him something beginning of at the end of the offseason. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, the Ravens are going to have to save money somewhere. And again, I just have a lot of faith in their ability to find tight ends. Who was it? Who asked that question? Was it Sherry? She started a storm here in the live chat.
Yeah, and what's going on there?
Although Rave Kingdom, come on, bud. Their question is not, can you keep both? Obviously, all of us want to keep both. Give me a name. You got to choose one or the other.
Let's go, Rave.
Come on, Rave.
Rave got on his soapbox on my channel last night, boy.
Oh, did he?
He popped on there and he had a whole lot to say. It
was about Fa'alele?
About some of the blowback that he's been getting in the Twitter sphere.
Oh
yeah. And then I asked him, dead straight face. I said, Rave, and this got Femi going in the live chat because he was watching. I said, Rave, if you were in the grocery mart tomorrow, random, and you were in the frozen aisle and you're walking down that freaking aisle and big 6'8", 300+ pound Daniel Fa'alele is also in that aisle and you guys meet, meaning your eyes, and you got to say hello based on just the interaction of walking by somebody in the grocery mart, or at least acknowledge them, would you be cordial? And you know what he said, Sarah?
What?
He told me no, he wouldn't. He would give him constructive feedback.
Oh, okay.
And that set Femi off, as it should have. Because at the end of the day, most times in those scenarios, people cave. Because it's a lot different
when you're face to face.
You're darn right it is. And that's the problem with social
there's
media.
that
I'm not
part
dragging
of it.
Rave right now. I'm not dragging you, Rave.
No, we love Rave.
We had a fun conversation. Look at him now.
Yeah.
He thinks I'm dragging him. No, we had a fun conversation on it.
Yeah.
But
he said you still stand on business. You can stand on business and still be civil and cordial and all that.
Yes.
My thing is it's less about the fear factor. I just feel like for me, it's just not that. I don't know. I think it's appropriate to talk about football at football times, which I obviously do on the show every day. But it's like, man, I'm just going to treat them like as humans in public. Like, let them have a life. That's how I feel about it.
I think what you were about to say was it's not that deep. Is that what you were going to say?
I mean, it's deep when it comes to like the Ravens' success. It's deep when it comes to like Lamar Jackson, but it's not deep to where I'm like going to personally think that I can change things by saying something to him saying something to him in the grocery store would be more about for yourself than it would be about like Daniel Fa'alele. That's not going to change anything. It just makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Updates from John Harbaugh coming in at his press conference right now. Lamar's a full go for Sunday, so no surprise because he was out there today as he was yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's good news. And Rashad Bateman's going to be down, so Devontae Walker is up, meaning he's the next man up for Rashad Bateman, who's dealing with a high ankle sprain, as he told Kimberly Martin post-game. on Sunday in Minnesota. So perhaps much like he was, if memory serves, Sarah, Devontae was a factor. Yes, he was. He had a couple catches. And by the way, not just a couple catches, he had a couple touchdowns week 2 against these Browns, and he's been very quiet since then. So 2 catches for 26 yards and 2 touchdowns week 2 against the Browns. So perhaps he gets another opportunity to pick up where he left off against Cleveland.
Yeah, and Tez and Hopkins, the Ravens have depth there. So I bet we'll get a pretty good dose of both of them because Bateman plays quite a bit. I can see Tez and Hopkins get their fair share, and they both will be great in the red zone.
Okay. So. I agree. I would agree. Let's see. Richard said that Travion Henderson reminds him of the Browns' old running back. And you talking about Nick Chubb? Is that who you're talking about? And Blake Yaspa and No Way DJ. Appreciate you both for believing in what we're building. This is your monthly shout out. We appreciate your support that you give us through Patreon. And guys, if you're interested in doing the same, you can visit patreon.com/RavensVault podcast. I think that brings us to just about the end here. Tavon Bryan is out of practice squad call-ups. He's their defensive tackle that they've been leaning on. And I thought played pretty darn well for them in the interior on Sunday against Minnesota. Yeah, Aaron Jones got his at times, but I thought Tavon brought some stability. Let me just listen to what John Harbaugh had to say on him. Okay. They might want to get him up to the 53.
Are you listening so we can all hear it?
No, because I just there's not I don't have that capability.
Here, let me do it because I think I can. Let me see. Well, this is on Mike Green. Can you hear this? Hold on, let me try it out. One second.
He gave him a we'll see on Mike Green, by the way, in terms of his status.
Tomorrow than into Sunday.
There it is.
Pretty good. You know, we just couldn't.
Yep, that was Mike Green. We'll see. Here he is on Lamar.
More practice. Yeah, a couple days. You all feel good for Sunday.
We're not catching much of that.
Okay, you're not hearing that? All right, never mind. All right.
That's all right. I just wouldn't be surprised if Tavon is brought up to the 53 man. They're kind of left with no other choice if they want to, include him. And that just gave me a minute to bring it in. So here's the clip of Harbaugh on Tavon Bryan, one of their veteran defensive tackles. And of course, this is just slightly lagging for me. So here is Harbs just moments ago at the podium.
It goes, we'll have to make we'll have to see what we decide to do with the personnel in terms of what's best for this game. But he's definitely in the conversation. He's played well all 3 games he's been out there. Brings a lot of energy. He's a fast switch kind of a defensive lineman. Had a couple quarterback hits in the last game. I think he's really been a blessing for us to have him. I'm really glad we have him.
Yeah, that sounds like a guy that it's going to get his call up at some point in the coming days. Katie Ramey's celebrating 6 months of channel membership, and Katie writes, "For Andrews and my late son Andrew, wanting the flock to know that today is International Diabetes Awareness Day. Let's go Ravens." Katie, thank you for that heartfelt message, and thank you for 6 months of channel membership, and thank you for honoring your late son Andrew.
Katie's here through and through. Yes, yeah. Thanks for honoring him. And one other thought I just had is we're talking about practice squad elevations with Jay Higgins likely down. We may be able to see a return of Sanusi Kane.
Yeah. Yep. They retained him, like you mentioned.
Happy that they were able to keep him on the practice squad.
Yep. Harbs also says that our Darius Washington's making good progress, has not been cleared to practice yet, but Harbaugh does not feel that that's not that far away. So that's cool.
Evan's asking if Harb said anything about Mike Green. He just said, we'll see.
Yep.
That doesn't sound good.
And all of this is happening right now as we speak. Yep. So if that's the case, Sarah, I expect Tavon Bryan to be a game, not a game day call up. He's out of them. They're going to add him to the 53 man. You would think. You're probably going to give Carl Lawson his first game day call up if Mike can't go, maybe regardless of whether or not Mike goes. They bring up Carl, who's been with the team now for, multiple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where things stand going into Sunday. 4:25 kickoff. I'll have pregame coverage dropping in the 3 o'clock hour. You and I typically are live around 8 o'clock or so for the 425 starts. So we look forward to that. And thanks to everybody for hanging out with us on this Friday. We will have a repurposed video, as we always do, in our best of section, 20 minutes or less, dropping at 4 o'clock. And if you could on the way out, like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership, and we would love for you to support our longest-standing sponsor. That's the folks at Mantis Sleep. For Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. I will be live later on this afternoon. We appreciate you guys, as always, for spending some time with us here inside the vault. Later, Vaultrons.